Hello and welcome everybody. My name is TJ Scott. I'm the General Manager at Tech Eagles, and today we just got a quick webinar to go over some things that will help you know if your business is actually truly protected. So what we're going to be going over today is 6 sections of a checklist that's going to be available for all you all to download from our website or for us directly to email you after this is over. We'll have that ready probably early next week that we'll be sending that out to everybody. But a lot of these items on this checklist, they may seem redundant or that they're repeating, but we want to make sure that you cover every single spot that those things are actually needed. And a lot of this guidance comes from CISA, which is a government organization that is helping make standards for cybersecurity for all types of business. So without delaying any further, we'll go ahead and go into the information, and we'll look at a few items from each of those sections from that checklist. So the ones that we're going to be going over today, the 6 main sections are identify, protect, detect, respond, recover, and maintain. So at first, we're going to be looking at identify. So a couple of good ones that are on here that some people just overlook or don't really think about is make sure that your business is staying up to date with relevant industry regulations and standards. So each industry kind of has its own regulations that are out there. You know, if you're a medical practice, you're going to have HIPAA. If you're in government contracting, you may have heard of something called CMMC. But what we're looking at is a trend and that the government's looking at is to make standards that are baseline across all industries with anybody that has any personal information of clients, which pretty much is any business out there. So those standards and regulations are going to start coming more often and being more of a requirement. So you want a way that you're making sure you're keeping up with those, such as doing a security risk analysis or any other kind of tool that helps you with that. Another good piece of advice is to consult with your legal counsel and your insurance provider to make sure that you're meeting their requirements as well. So one of the large ones there that you want to look at, especially, is with insurance, because just like with house insurance or your other business insurance, cyber insurance requires that you meet certain standards in order for them to actually cover you properly. So if you're not sure if you're meeting all those requirements, it's a good thing to just pick up the phone and give them a call and see what they have to say about that. Next part we're looking at is protect. A lot of people do real good with making sure they have really good equipment, especially if you have IT in place or have an IT team. But you want to make sure that all your routers, switches, and firewalls, those things that are integral to your network, will actually be updated and patched with the latest security patches that come out to take care of those zero-day threats. It's impossible to, catch everything that comes your way, but making sure that you're updated and patching those all the time will make sure that you're safe and secure. Also, secure email gateways, ensuring data is emailed securely. The biggest thing that I can say for this, and we see this all the time, make sure you're not using a free email. So what I mean by that, regular Gmail, regular Hotmail or Live or Outlook or Yahoo, something like that. Even using an ISP provided one, something that's from your internet provider, typically will not meet those standards unless you pay extra to have those on there. So you want to really make sure that you are getting a business grade email and then actually adding protections on top of that. There's a lot of great companies out there that help with that and actually do those extended things. Of course, us at Tech Eagles, we do a lot with this as well. So it's one of those that you really want to look at making sure you're doing out there. One that's overlooked a lot with data, especially if you're ever in an audit of some sort with personal information, you want to make sure that you have a secured data policy, that it's in place, and that your employees, managers, everybody across the board understands the policies, and you take training on that regularly to understand what that is and how to go about with it. Up next, we got detect. So you don't know if there's a problem unless you got something scary, such as the image that pops up on your screen, and you want something that's going to find that and take care of that ahead of time. So you want to make sure that you're not just running just typical antivirus, but you want to make sure that you have endpoint security software installed on all devices. The checklist that we'll provide will just say antivirus, and that's okay because we want to make it as simple as possible to understand. And we know you're going to talk to us about that, so we'll make sure that we get the correct thing. But an endpoint security software takes care of antivirus, anti-malware, and it goes a step further and it looks at typical computer behavior and makes sure that that's correct. So if it sees a bunch of files being moved really quickly or encrypted, it's going to throw up hands and be like, hey, something's wrong here, and send out all kind of alerts. The other one is to monitor network traffic for unusual or suspicious activity. Now, unless you're a large organization that has a whole team of IT people, and I do mean a whole army of people who just sit around 24/7 watching your internet traffic, which is a pretty boring job, I will say, to just sit there and watch the numbers go up and down. You want something such as a business grade firewall. Now, everybody should have a firewall. If you don't, that's a step number one you want to get there. But there are actual programs and softwares that you can install in addition that works with your firewall to make sure that all that data is analyzed, to make sure it's not coming from scummy places as well. That really goes hand in hand with email. Emails where you're going to see a lot of suspicious network traffic sometimes. So, Amazon.com is a very well-known thing that you may be getting emails from, but a really good email protection will say, hey, this says Amazon.com, but it's not coming from their usual location, and it's going to flag that to be looked at and look further into it. Next thing you want to look at is a response. So just like with a business disaster recovery or emergency response, you also want a cybersecurity response plan. You want to make sure those are written and posted and that all your employees know about it. And if you're saying, what's a cybersecurity response plan? That's what we're here for, and hopefully this checklist will help with that as well. But that's something you definitely want to develop. You want to know if you get breached, who to call, who to notify, what to do, what not to do, and all those things above, and who's actually responsible for all that. Sometimes knowing what not to do is just as important as what to do, and a cybersecurity response plan can really help with that. The other thing that's just a simple one, we put this under respond because it typically ends up being a response for a lot of businesses after they've already had an incident, but require MFA or multi-factor authentication for all your employees for everything you use. The number one way that we still see that businesses are actually breached or they have a issue with something that goes on is through email, or it starts through email. They'll get something that looks suspicious, or they won't see it as suspicious, but it's like, hey, from Microsoft, log into your account. So they click it, log in, it doesn't work. Let me try that again. They click it, log in, it doesn't work. Well, it was a fake page and they just gave their whole login and password to some hacker or some social engineering person, and they're going to go out and try it. So it's bad that they have your password and your login, but that can be guessed sometimes as well. Multi-factor authentication makes sure that doesn't happen. So if they do have your username and password, they're still going to need your phone or something such as a security key that you can keep plugged into your computer. That will be your second method of authentication that they would have to get in as well. Next is recover. So sometimes, despite all the best laid plans and protections, disaster is going to happen. It could be a fire that takes out your main server or something like that. So you want to make sure that you have good backups of all your data and all your information. So secure all-site location, whether that's physical or in a cloud. You want to make sure you're doing regular backups of anything that is important to you, whether that is on a server or on a laptop or a desktop. If you don't have backups in place for your devices, you're really playing the game. It's just a matter of time of when it's going to happen that you're going to need those, not if. Also, this is just a small one. Not everybody has to look at this, but it's still a good thing to look at, is an alternative location for running business in case of emergencies or disruptions. I think a lot of us learned the hard way when COVID hit back in 2020 that things can happen in the blink of an eye, and we all got to figure out something. So whether your alternate location is everybody works remotely, or if you have a secondary warehouse or something you could temporarily run from, this could be due to something that's going on in the world or just specific to your business. Maybe, it's getting really hot right now. Maybe your HVAC goes out and it's going to be out for a couple of weeks. So you got to look at all those instances and see if you can do something to avoid that and also have an alternate plan. Lastly, we got is maintain. So one of the biggest maintain points that I see, and a lot of people are thinking, yeah, we got to update our computers and all that. That's a given. But the biggest thing to maintain is employee training. So phishing, handling suspicious emails, social engineering, that is getting more and more sophisticated every day, every week, every year. It gets harder to see. And it's one of those things. The training that you may have done for spotting phishing emails 2 years ago is not going to be the same as it is today. And in fact, a lot of the times you got to have an extra layer of protection on top of that to even help out. So you definitely want to have some kind of cybersecurity training program. Of course, we offer that at Tech Eagles through one of our vendors that can help you with that. But on top of that, you want phishing training. And what that typically looks like is that training program will actually send out fake emails to try to get your employees to click on them. And when they do, it shows them what they did wrong and how to avoid it in the future. Much better to click on something like that that's for training than it to be a real situation. Another one is that all your security policies are written and enforced through training. Once again, you'll see a repeating occurrence here. And then also another one, I'm sure a lot of people watch crime shows or, some kind of medical or anything like that. And you always see that they want to maintain the chain of evidence, whose ownership of that. It's the same thing with data in your business. You want to make sure who is responsible for what and that ownership is followed. That way people who don't need access to it are not getting access to it or even playing around with it. So that's just a short view into what that checklist will entail. There's a whole lot of points on that checklist that you and your business can go through. So you can contact us at info@techeagles.com to receive your free network security checklist, or give us a call. Of course, just visit us at techeagles.com and we can point you in that way. After you get that, look through it. Follow up with us and learn how we can help your existing IT, how to take care of some of those issues. Or if you don't have an existing IT, of course, that's the business we're in as well. So we're here to be your IT or work along with your IT and actually help them along with all the steps and make sure that all that gets taken care of. Anyhow, like I said, my name's TJ. I'm at Tech Eagles. Hopefully you found this information very helpful. I wish everybody the best of the day. And like I said, if you need anything, just give us a call or email us and we'll get to it and help you out. Thank you all. You all have a great day.